Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hivemind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. And for this video, the leftist machine, the Democrat machine that I continuously rag on, especially recently, and what's probably going to be one of my biggest focuses on this channel for the foreseeable future. This is the most important ethical, moral battle that we must engage in. And the only way that we're going to win it is with good ideas. The only way that we're going to win it is by getting people on our side, by informing them. The last thing we want to do is take things to the extreme, because when people are informed of what's really going on, what the actual narrative is, what the truth is, they're on our side. And we just got to figure out a way to communicate our message effectively to the masses so people understand exactly what's at stake here. Because the reality is, what's at stake is everything. Major legal action, class action lawsuits are possibly underway. 2022 is going to be one of the most important times in modern political history. It seems as though every election cycle, the stakes get even higher and higher and higher. 2016 was monumentally important. 2018, increasingly so. 2020 felt like the most important election of all time. The runoffs were then even more important to salvage what was left. 2022 might make or break our future. 2024 might be the final frontier. Who gets into office is going to determine whether freedom and the American way will be preserved. Sounds like hyperbole, but it's not. The antitrust violations, the oligarchy and monopoly power, the power that's currently being flexed from these unelected technocrats is getting out of control. And it's time that the founding fathers' anti-monopoly stances, the antitrust laws that are supposed to be implemented, are used to the benefit of the American people. So we got to get into this, folks. We got to talk about one of the most important, probably the most important thing outside of maybe like China, the most important issue in American politics right now. And so that's exactly what we're going to do. But before we get into it, please make sure to leave a like, a comment, subscribe, share the video as much as possible. We are still shadow banned by the YouTube algorithm, hidden from non-subscribed viewers. Now with that out of the way, let's roll the tape. So once again, the GOP is struggling with the exact same issue that it's been struggling with for years now. There's GOPers with a backbone who stand for the right thing and represent their constituents, and then there's others. Luckily, we still have Representative Devin Nunes, who is the only one calling to do what's right. Check this out.
If it doesn't even matter if you're Republican or conservative. If you don't want to be regulated by left-wingers that are at Twitter and Facebook and Instagram, where you get shadow banned, nobody gets to see you, they get to decide what's violent or not violent, it's preposterous. So I don't know where the hell the Department of Justice is at right now, or the FBI. This is clearly a violation of antitrust, civil rights, the RICO statute. There should be a racketeering investigation on all the people that coordinated this attack on not only a company, but on all of those like us, like me, like you, Maria. I have 3 million followers on Parler. Tonight, I will no longer be able to communicate with those people. These CEOs that are doing this should be prosecuted criminally. So look, I've been talking to many of my colleagues, Republicans on the House side, and a couple senators. We're going to look for legal options. Do we have any legal options? Do we have our First Amendment rights? Are they being violated? Can we get this? The Supreme Court, these federal judges have got to step in.
And so he says the CEOs who are doing this should be prosecuted criminally. And I 100% agree. When is the government going to stand up and actually use antitrust laws? What these companies are doing is illegal. Facebook, Amazon, Twitter, buying out and destroying their competition is illegal. It's a monopoly. It's unfair. We're talking about completely unethical and literal criminal monopolistic behavior. They own everything. Facebook and Google own ads. Therefore, they can use said ads to control what you can and can't say. If you're unable to make a living, if you get demonetized, there's no other option. You can't run an alternative ad. Your only option is Google, especially on YouTube. This is monopolistic in nature. One of the biggest offenders when it comes to that exact idea is, of course, Amazon, who buys out competition or flat out loses money in order to put their opponent out of business by being able to undercut them on prices at a level that other people just cannot compete with. Amazon can lose as much money as they want. It doesn't matter. And the government has sat idly by and allowed these monopolistic companies to just take full control. Amazon is actively destroying brick and mortars, retailers, small business. And now once again, it's happening to Parler. I just covered this yesterday where someone at CNN was pressuring Amazon hosting service to cut off Parler. And in the video, I literally said, there's no way Amazon would do this. That would be a total blunder. wonder, considering how many conservatives probably use their services. And lo and behold, 20 minutes after I record the video, I had to, of course, edit in a correction. They actually did it. They did it. The gall on these companies, they feel as though they can get away with anything, and it's because they've been allowed to get away with anything. This is a coordinated attack on a tech competitor. That's all it is. It's not about politics. It's about destroying an alternative, or even the idea of alternatives to spawn. YouTube hasn't had any serious competition if a video hosting website was to start actually getting some real big numbers. Parler has some serious numbers. The posts that I'm making on Parler get maybe triple the amount of views that I get on Twitter already. You have some big names on Parler with millions of followers who get millions of views per post. That's some serious reach. That's some serious competition. And so how do they respond? Amazon nukes them. They might even be down by the time you guys are watching this video. The Apple Store takes them off, and Google Play takes them off entirely, making it so that you actually can't even get them on your phone. Apple controls the operating system for Apple phones, and Google owns Android. You have no options. They control everything. They control information. They control mobile operating systems, the stores, the ads, video hosting on servers, like we're seeing with Amazon. And of course, we know Google's big in that business as well. They just control too much. And this is why 2022 is so incredibly important, folks. We've had 4 years to do something about this. The president has tried. He hasn't put enough pressure. I'd say this is probably one issue that I have with his list of priorities, but also what he was working with wasn't exactly ideal. The GOP has grandstands on this issue as if they care. Lindsey Graham just backstabbed you, and the president gets ripped off of Twitter, has his voice stripped from Jack Dorsey, and Senator Lindsey Graham renews fight to repeal Section 230 following Trump Twitter ban. Give me a break. As if anyone actually believes that Lindsey Graham's gonna get anything on the floor, gonna actually do something after 4 years of stagnation, 4 years of bringing in tech companies, tech CEOs for symbolic hearings for them to campaign on. Do not trust the GOP. Do not trust the establishment that has been working against your interests since the start. The right people must be put in office, and immediately. Time is ticking here, folks. The right lawsuits must be implemented. I don't know how it's going to work, considering the mega power and its political power, legal power, cultural power that these tech companies have. But we're talking about losing freedom here. We're talking about losing rights. We're talking about a technocratic dystopia. Dennis Prager put it best himself. He said this:
"There is no example of the left, not liberals, not liberal. Liberals believe in free speech. There is no example of the left having power and not suppressing speech. It doesn't exist."
And he's totally right. There's no example of the left having power and not suppressing speech. Free speech is its dire enemy because they run on narratives and emotion. They run on a system of utilitarianism that the ends justify the means. They don't care about context. They don't care about facts, discussion, or argument. They care only about their dogmatic ideology. The Forbes chief content officer just warned against hiring Kayleigh McEnany and other prominent Trump quote flex with this quote right over here: "Hire any of Trump's fellow fabulists above, and Forbes will assure that everything your company or firm talks about is a lie," applying political and cultural pressure towards hiring any of these folk. Kayleigh McEnany and Sarah Huckabee Sanders being two women of incredible character. But don't worry, the left is going to do everything that they can to assume that everything that they say and everything that the company or firm says is a lie. And what that means is they will run hit piece after hit piece on anyone associated with this cultural movement. Talk about propaganda, talk about lying, talk about spinning a narrative. That is an omission of that exact idea. And so this has to happen at the highest levels. A small guy like me or random folk cannot go after these massive companies. It has to be a government. It has to be an opposing force that's equal or at least close to the Goliath. And that's why we have once again good legal news coming from Texas. Texas Attorney General vows to fight big tech censorship with everything he's got. The same type of Supreme Court case that we saw not too long ago with all of those Republican states headed together, that needs to happen under the framework of antitrust laws. The same thing needs to happen when it comes to reforming Section 230. The repeal of Section 230 doesn't make any sense, but the reform is absolutely necessary. And we're the only hope to preserve this freedom. The left has become illiberal. They have become pawns in this massive scheme, pushing for censorship, calling themselves liberals as they cheer and side with mega corporations who are actively suppressing the civil liberties and civil rights of American citizens, and more importantly, the American president. They seemingly don't have the foresight to understand that what they're doing is wrong. This tweet right over here is absolutely rich from Jeff Tidrich. He says, "Somehow, not knowing what Trump is up to is more unsettling than knowing. It's almost as if having transparency in the truth and seeing what's going on with your eyes is better than hiding it, suppressing it, and shoving it under a rug, exiling it to create a deeper problem than you might have perceived in the first place." And so the meme of the day really highlights the hypocrisy. Jack Dorsey said it himself.
"I do think it would be dangerous for a company like ours going back to that fear point, to be arbiters of truth.
Jack Dorsey said that Twitter stands for freedom of expression. We stand for speaking truth to power. We stand for empowering dialogue. But apparently, Jack Dorsey stands no more.